Full body MRI. People are talking about this. You know, Atiya's got a book out talking about health span. It's getting a lot of press. He's done a lot of good things in there. I don't know if he talks about full body MRI, but what are your thoughts? So people talk, now just to say what this is, it's paying in advance, paying money probably because insurance isn't going to cover it, to have a magnetic resonance imaging of your entire body in the hopes that you will find something that you weren't looking for that is early and bad and can be treated and therefore save your life. So it is billed as the ultimate in prevention, and in practice is often pitched by concierge doctors, wellness gurus, and others on a fee-for-service basis. It's not covered by insurance, and it's often the realm of the wealthy. So curious your take on this.
Okay. So there's this company, I think called Prenuvo, that offers this whole body MRI. And I saw the usual tech people were up in arms about it, saying, why wouldn't you want to know if you have a cancer, you know? And I think there are lots of reasons why you wouldn't want to get a whole body MRI.
I just have to say, like, the tech people, they're a joy.
They're a joy.
They are a real joy. They want to start their own country in California.
I guess I think, like, I understand, like, if you worked in a world where TVs are getting thinner and better and cars are getting better and everything's improving all the time, you would imagine that same pace of progress, that understanding of like how things work so fundamentally extends to the human body.
Moore's Law.
It just doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't.
The body's more complicated than a computer. You know, we don't really fully understand how the body works, but we can build a computer from raw materials, you know? So I think they just have a flawed idea of what we know in science and medicine. In this point, I think they have a really flawed idea of what whole body MRI does. I mean, let's just say, what are all the things it could find? So it could find a false positive. It could find something that's actually nothing and it gets you worried, and then you get a subsequent biopsy or a subsequent scan. It turns out to be benign, image artifact, turns out to be something else. You're not really worried about it. There you may undergo a procedure, you may get more imaging, you may get tests, and it turns out that was unnecessary. So that's the negative there. They dismiss that and saying, well, that's okay. I'm willing to get a few tests and be reassured at the end of things. The next thing it could find a cancer that was going to spread and kill you, but because we found it and cut it out, it's not going to spread and kill you. And that's upside, like that's a win. If it found those cancers and we did that, win. But what they don't know is there's two other things it could find. It could find a cancer that looks exactly like the cancer that was going to spread and kill you, but actually wasn't going to spread, wasn't going to kill you, wasn't going to do any harm in your natural life. And by cutting it out, you actually subject yourself to all the risk of the cutting and all the maybe the downstream radiation and chemotherapy without any of the upside because it wasn't going to do anything anyway. And that's called classically overdiagnosed cancers. That's the indolent cancers. Then the third thing it could find is it could find a cancer that looks like it's just in one place and you cut it out in the hopes it won't spread, but it had already spread before you cut it and it was already going to kill you anyway in 2025. And you're just getting more surgeries, more treatment, but it's still going to do the exact same thing it otherwise would.
No outcome change.
Change. And
sorry, there is an outcome change, more suffering for you.
Yeah, more time as a patient.
Yeah, that's
without
right.
any time.
More medicalization.
More medicalization.
Yeah.
Okay, now the thing they don't really get is that we have no idea what's the ratio of these things it's finding.
Yeah.
And it's probably, we have lots of reasons to suspect it's finding so many more overdiagnosed tumors than it is finding the critical ones. And we know that from data in mammography, where there's this huge surplus in how many cancers are found after mammography was deployed. We know that from autopsy data of older men, where so many men die with prostate cancer, not from prostate cancer. Yeah. We know that like some organs like thyroid glands are notorious for lots of people have papillary thyroid cancer that's not going to do anything. The more you scan, the more you find that, the more you remove thyroids, you're not changing mortality. This is the South Korean experience. And so I think the tech people just don't understand that cancer is what the pathologist says it looks like under the microscope, but that doesn't tell you the destiny of what was going to happen to that tumor. And these scans will find masses and they'll find cancer that you're glad you cut out, but maybe you're worse off by having cut it out. And the only way to know if the whole body MRI improves outcomes is to do the studies that they did for colonoscopy and flexible sigmoidoscopy, which is randomize people to getting it or not getting it and follow them for 7 and 10 years.
And look at mortality.
And look at how many are alive.
Yeah, exactly. So I think if people understood what you just said directly, if the tech people understood that, hey, okay, so here are the bad things that could happen, there would be a visceral feeling like, I don't want this. Yeah. Like, please don't look inside me, because if you find something, then I have to do something. Like, how can you leave it alone? Right. And you don't know because we don't have enough understanding yet of how these cancer, what their natural history is, to know which ones are just going to regress, which ones are never going to kill you, which ones have already spread, like you said, and it's a moot issue anyways, and which ones taking it out would save your life. And when you hear people talk about mammo who've had cancers removed, my mother is one of them. She'll say, that thing saved my life. But we have no idea.
Yeah, the truth is they don't actually know.
And yet, surgery, radiation, lymphedema, and the anxiety and the stress and all of that. And so again, it's really quite, so then you can decide, okay, do you really want that? Or do you want to take that risk?
And then they talk about like, but people are paying for their own Pronuva scan, right? It's not adding to cost.
Correct.
But it is adding to cost because all the false positives get put into the system, and insurance company pays for all that workup.
Yep.
So it is adding to all our healthcare costs.
And it's adding to our collective anxiety, which I think is actually the biggest cost, because how much of primary care is anxiety, depression, supratentorial stress showing up as somatic complaint?
A lot of it.
And then it leads to all the testing, and then the incidental adrenal mass and the workup and all of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's how
the MGUS and the follicular lymphoma diagnosis because they have too many abdominal scans. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And the thyroid thing is interesting too, because this is another thing. Like I have family members who have the thyroid nodules, and every year they get the ultrasound, and they're stressed out, and it's always a nail biter. And it's like, dude,
there's a nice paper in New England Journal from Gil Welch where South Korea, maybe 10, 15 years ago, they implemented a routine ultrasounding of thyroid gland protocol. And you watch year after year, the number of thyroid cancers they're finding has gone up like 7 times. We're finding 7 times as many cancers, but dying of thyroid cancer is absolutely flatline year after year. We're not reduced it 1 iota. So how are you finding 7 times more cancer, but you're not saving any lives? You must be finding things that weren't going to cause harm anyway.
Weren't going to cause harm. Man, that's a big deal. And do you think the same is going with melanoma, skin cancer?
Oh yeah, that's a great example. There's a nice paper by Aid Adamson, I think in JAMA Oncology. No, in New England Journal. It's a New England Journal paper. Also Gil Welch, that looks at melanoma, the rising melanoma diagnoses, going through the roof, but death from melanoma is a flat line, suggesting that maybe some of these skin exams, also skin exams, by the way, they could, if they wanted to, these dermatologists could actually randomize people to routine skin exams or not. Maybe it benefits people who are fair-skinned, redheaded, freckles, maybe it doesn't benefit, maybe it benefits more population. We just don't know.
Maybe a subgroup.
Maybe a subgroup.
Yeah, agree. Again, we talk about personalized medicine, but we only talk about it. No, it's personalized medicine only when you get to do something to someone you're not doing anything to. Otherwise, if you're doing something to everybody already, we don't need to personalize that. We just keep doing that. Keep doing that. We got all the market share. That's right.
No need to personalize.
My dad used to say, and you said it earlier, there are 5,000 rupees in everybody's ileocecal valve. You just need to take a scope and get it out. He used to want me to do GI.
Yeah.
And I actually did the rotation thinking maybe I'll do this. And I was like, I hate this. There's a lot of poo.
You didn't like
it was the insufflation. It wasn't so much the insufflation, it was the exsufflation.
The exsufflation, yes. It was when they unscrew the port to put the biopsy and the insufflation is blowing right in your eyeball.
That's right. And you're like, that's what it smells like inside the colon. It's one thing to fart on someone and buttercup them. It's another to get a virtual buttercup from the actual colon.
What's interesting is, do you really think you need to be a doctor with 4 years medical school, 3 years IM, and 3 years GI to do a screening colonoscopy? Can't you just take people in their 20s and just train them to do screening?
My God, 4C School of Colonoscopy. 4C standing for 4 colons.
4 colons.
And they just, it's like a trade school?
A trade school.
You could do it in a year.
Easily.
Oh, can you imagine how much blowback we're going to get from GI? You don't understand.
Are you talking about the insufflation still? Are you talking? No, yeah, of course they're going to. Of course, every specialty that has one procedure that makes a lot of money, what are they going to do if he perfs? I was like, I thought you don't perf that often.
See, that's why I like being an internal medicine doctor, because I only have one procedure, and that's writing a note.
writing a long
ass note. And I'm like, I could be replaced by almost anything, but the note just won't be as illegible.